Hi, folks. Welcome to the Erma Hayman House Sunroom Public Art Information Session. I hope that you can see my slideshow screen right now. Apologies if you can see my little small window of myself. My camera's not working, but I am here, even though I think it might look like a black screen. If you can see me, I can't see myself. That's really weird. But thank you all so much for being here. We are going to dive into the opportunity shortly, but I just have a couple of housekeeping items to start with. First of all, I am Liana Hamby. I'm a public art project coordinator. And I want to note that this information session is being recorded and will be available online. English language transcriptions are also available by clicking the live transcript button at the bottom of your screen and then selecting show subtitle. Subtitles can also be viewed in the recording. Those will be posted on our website and on YouTube. I would also like to acknowledge the history of the land where Boise City Hall, where I am, sits. The city recognizes the ancestral, cultural, traditional, and unceded territory of the Shoshone-Bannock and Northern Paiute people whose land we are on today. As we go through all of these slides and our agenda items, you can feel free to submit any questions you have in the Q&A function. That's towards the bottom of your screen, I believe. I'll go over them all at the end, but you can submit questions at any time during the presentation. I'm also available by phone or email, and my contact information is at the end of the slideshow and in the call. So on the agenda today, we've got our project overview information. We'll go over the application requirements and the criteria, as well as our selection process, and then we'll go over a few tips and any questions you will have. So about this project, we are seeking artwork for the ceiling of the Erma Hayman House sunroom. That's the closed-in porch that you can see from the sidewalk. You can also see it through the door when you're inside that sort of living room area of the house. A little bit about Mrs. Hayman. She spent most of her life in Idaho, and when racial discrimination prevented her and her husband from buying property elsewhere in Boise, the Haymans bought the stone house at 617 Ash Street. She was known to provide and care for those in need and was a vital advocate for her neighborhood and its often overlooked residents. We've got a few project goals for this project. One, we ask that through collaboration with community members, the artwork should derive inspiration from Erma Hayman's life and legacy, reflect the spirit of the site. We do have some requirements for functionality, allowing for a flexible use of the space and to utilize the hanging system that's being designed. And of course, visual interest to create a sense of visual vibrancy. The total award for this project is $15,000. A few logistics sort of organized around those project goals. For the spirit of the site, we are requiring that the selected artist incorporate community engagement in their project process and have that community engagement influence their artwork. For the functionality portion, the selected artist must design their work to safely connect to an independently designed hanging system. We anticipate it being an approximately 11-foot by 5-foot metal grid with an estimated 35 to 50-pound weight limit. As I mentioned, the hanging system is being designed independently right now. And the selected artist will work with myself and the designer to make sure that their artwork is designed to those specs. For visual interest, it's important to know that the sunroom installation will be visible from the street-facing windows and from inside the house, but the sunroom itself is not publicly accessible. The sunroom does still need to remain flexible for staff use, such as staff working in that space. It's currently being used for storage, so folks are in and out quite a bit. We've also got a few things that the selected artist will mostly need to worry about, but it's important for everyone to be aware. The selected artist will be required to provide a community engagement plan. Arts and history staff will assist in organizing what that actually looks like. The specific connection requirements, weight limits, etc., will be provided to the selected artist prior to their design work. And the selected artist will work with arts and history staff on those installation requirements and logistics. The installation needs should not exceed $500. We've got an anticipated project timeline here. I will note that it is somewhat tentative and our dates can be flexible, of course, with the exception of the application deadline, which is April 16th at 1 o'clock. I anticipate an artist being selected in May and a preliminary design proposal coming to us around July. The final design is anticipated to be due in September, and then that artwork installation will happen in January of 2027. Moving on to the application. So if any of you have applied for opportunities in the past, you will probably recognize this structure as well as our application platform Submittable, which is pretty user-friendly. It's free to apply and really helps our panelists do a uniform review. I'll get into that a little bit more in a minute. The application consists of a few eligibility questions. That you be over 18 and be an Idaho artist are our requirements, and then there is a preference for artists who are not represented in our collection. We then ask for some initial application questions, which are mostly contact information. We ask for a statement of interest. This is really your argument for why you're the right person to achieve the project goals. We do ask for some information about your proposed materials or preferred materials. That includes what those materials might be, your experience with them, and any particular technique you would like to explore. We ask for past work examples. We ask for 3 examples, 2 of which need to include that proposed material. And then we ask for your resume. We also ask for an AI disclosure and optional demographic information. Neither of these are used for scoring purposes, but are currently being used for information tracking just internally for us to better understand our application pool. I can't go back. Can I go back? And just so you know, this is a picture of what is currently installed in that ceiling space right now, a lilac installation by Stephanie. All right, so for the selection process and criteria, a huge part of what makes public art for us is our public process. Selection is determined by a selection panel, which is made up of a group of community members and project stakeholders. These panelists score all applications using the same set of criteria, using preset descriptors tied to point values, which allows for really uniform scoring. After panelists score applications, we bring them all together to discuss top scored applications and come to a consensus on selection. I do want to note that I facilitate this discussion, but as a public art staff member, I do not select artists and don't score them and don't really play a role in the selection besides facilitating that discussion. The selection criteria that our selection panel members will be referring to are as follows. We've got just the eligibility and application completion, which are pass-fail. We don't ask panelists to review incomplete applications. And after doing that pass-fail screening, the selection panel will review for the artist's fit and interest. This is primarily related to the statement of interest that you'll submit. We look at appropriateness of materials. For example, I wouldn't propose any, ice sculpture or something. They then will look at aesthetic considerations using, referring to your past work examples. And then they will score on your evidence of ability to follow through. This is primarily evidence through your resume, although this is also communicated through your statement of interest. I've got a couple of tips and then we'll have time for some questions. A few tips for really any and all applications with us. Please review the application materials and criteria carefully and be sure to address all parts of the application. For example, in the statement of interest, be sure to address your ability to achieve all of those project goals, the 3 that were listed in that statement. Remember that application pools are very competitive. So in addition to communicating about those project goals, trying to communicate what makes you unique and be specific about that. While we are also asking you to describe your ability to fulfill those goals, what makes you unique. Within that, also try to be clear and concise because you're communicating with strangers. It can be helpful to have a friend or a family member proofread something that you've written just to be sure that it makes sense to an outside reader. And I would also recommend double checking your documents to make sure you aren't accidentally uploading duplicate past work examples or anything like that. And also I would recommend not waiting until the last minute to submit just in case you have any internet issues while you upload materials or hit submit because you never know what might happen. All right, I did preload a couple of questions just in case. So if you folks have any questions while I'm going over these or in addition to these, please feel free to put those into the Q&A. And again, I'm available by phone and email if something comes to you later. So a question about the community engagement plan. Because the selected artist is required to engage with community members to inform their artwork design. This could look like a lot of different things. It could be anything from a staff facilitated activity at an established program at the Erma Hayman House or another city facility, or the selected artist could propose an artist-led session at their studio or at an independent location. Really what we ask is that the plan be delivered to staff so that we can assist in implementing this. We did get a question about what community engagement might look like, and it really is more about incorporating community involvement in or community perspectives in the design of the artwork. It does not mean that there has to be an interactive component to the artwork, especially since this room is not accessible to the public, and an interactive component is not necessary. Just a reminder about the installation system. It's anticipated to be that metal grid, 11 by 5 feet with a 35 to 50 pound weight limit. Those details will be provided to the selected artist so that they can design their artwork to ensure a safe connection. Flexible use of space. As I mentioned, the space is not publicly accessible, but is used for storage and for staff use. For example, we would not want artwork that you could hit your head on that protrudes into the walking space or, creates any sort of danger for staff moving in and out of that space. As far as materials that folks could propose, I would just recommend to keep the weight limit in mind. Example materials could be anything from fabric or in canvas to plastic, paper, printed materials, or painted materials, wood strain, lightweight metal. You could also consider including things that have some sort of movement or interaction with light or shadow. For the $500 installation budget, to clarify that a little bit, with the $15,000 artist award, that will include all of the materials and fabrication and transportation needed for the artwork, but an installation budget could include things like specialty tools or equipment needed for installation or deinstallation of the artwork. Folks are welcome to apply as a team. We just ask that you include all team members' information in the application. So you'd submit one application for your whole team. And certain sections of the application may look a little bit weird, putting multiple contact information and things in there, but we'll sort it out and know what you mean. But please include one joint statement of interest, And the material proposal should include the considerations of, all of the people that are applying. I will note too, for past work examples and resumes, there's only one file allowed to be uploaded in those sections. So please combine into like a combined PDF for a resume that needs to have 2 resumes in it. Sort of on that same idea, can folks include extra information in their applications? No, the selection panel can only score applications based on the specific things that were asked for in the application. So if you submit additional materials, they are not permitted to consider that as part of your application. For example, if you uploaded in one of the past work examples a PDF with 4 examples, they would only be allowed to consider 1 example as part of that upload, because this ensures a fair scoring process for all of the applicants. There are a couple of questions. One, is it possible to see the design of the hanging system to be installed in the ceiling? Unfortunately, no, it's not fully designed yet. But once we have a selected artist on board, they'll be in contact with the designer so that they'll be fully in the loop and know what they're designing for. The idea for the design of this hanging system, though, is that it be flexible and that it can accommodate a lot of different things and be flexible for future use. Is there a theme that we are looking for? We are really just looking for the 3 goals that were listed in the project. So reflecting the spirit of the site, deriving inspiration from Mrs. Hayman's life and legacy, however that might come through for you as an artist, and then that functionality and visual interest piece. Another question, can the design go on the wall or just applied to the ceiling? The design could extend along the perimeter of the room to a certain extent. The Hayman House, we are trying to avoid any sort of permanent or structural work beyond that hanging system. So designing this hanging system is really to allow us to have flexibility for the art installation without modifying the house significantly. So if the material that you want to work with has some sort of, say draped element that does not extend into sort of the walking spaces limited to the perimeter, as long as that doesn't create any damage or require some sort of structural connection to the wall, that could be permitted. Are the middle grid dimensions the maximum dimensions for the artwork? For that, the length and width, yes, that is approximately the full length and width of the room. You can't really go beyond that, although you can go sort of down into the space of the room, again, as long as you're not hitting people in the head. Does the piece need to cover the entire ceiling area? I would say no. That will depend on the selected artist's vision and how they feel about the sort of porousness of their design and the visibility of that installation system from below. And yes, there is a question about keeping the exit sign in mind during once an artist is selected. Yes, the selected artist will definitely need to keep the exit sign in mind. I will say this application process is really more focused on your ideas for how you would facilitate collaboration, what that flexibility of the space, how that would be sort of preserved by you, and that visual interest, not necessarily a design proposal. We're not looking for anything so detailed as to how you would keep that exit sign visible, unless that was really sort of central to your idea for artwork in that space, which it could be. All right. If there are any more questions that come in while I'm wrapping up, I'm happy to answer those. Otherwise, I am available via email and phone. I will say I'm a little bit more reliable over email in case I'm not at my desk. It is a desk phone. And happy to answer any questions that come up between now and the question and answer deadline. And I've just got a reminder that the deadline is Thursday, April 16th at 1:00 p.m. Mountain Time.